Sights like these aren't very pretty. They denote failure, the failure of a people to achieve prosperity and in many cases social stability. But the children who live here aren't old enough as yet to bear responsibility for this failure. They still have enough time and energy left in life to hope realistically of breaking away from an environment like this. It's education which provides the single most important path out of low-income areas like this one in West Dallas. But this path is not always clearly marked for children who live here. Elementary, junior high, and high schools are visible and free in these neighborhoods. But higher education is not visible and certainly not free, especially for children whose parents expect them to make contributions to family income. If young people have trouble reaching outside the ghetto, then institutions of higher learning may have to reach into the ghetto. Reaching into low-income areas is exactly what El Centro College has done with its mobile counseling unit. The mobile unit, which is funded by the United States Office of Education and Dallas County, is staffed by 2 black counselors and a 3rd Mexican-American counselor, Mr. Hector Zamorano.
I'm looking for an individual that I think will profit out of either post-secondary education, and that can include anything from language development on up to a 4-year scholarship for, say, majoring in petroleum science or something, or a vocational technical program. I'm looking for an individual who displays this type of talent, and I have to make a street appraisal of this individual. There are no so-called ACT tests and SAT tests to fall back on it when you're working with the individual out there in the barrio, in the street. It's my judgment, my, I guess, gut level feeling about this individual, talking with them, finding out their particular problems, bringing them up here. His potential is there, and he can go, I guess, as far as he wants. If someone is just willing to help and come through with something, they're willing to give it a try. I don't know of anyone who's down in the dumps that just won't give it a try again. At least I can say this much for them: their spirit hasn't been broken yet, in spite of everything that has happened to them.
Stephen, you remember I talked to you on the phone prior to talking to your brother Benny?
Yes.
And you had mentioned the fact that you're a high school dropout and you might want to get some type of training.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you need me to help you with it, you can tell me what you want, and then we can go from there and see what we can do to help you.
Well, I was really interested in trying to get an education because I know how hard it is about, jobs and everything. And the point is, you could get a real nice job if you have, an education.
Have you heard about this program that we have that would give you the GED, your high school equivalency, since you are a high school dropout? Have I told you about that?
Yes, you told me about it.
Well, do you think maybe we could get you involved in that, and then after you've completed that, we could talk then some more about some particular training that might be beneficial to you?
Yes, it was kind of hard for me. It wasn't what I would call hard to stay in school, but it was just, the things that was coming up between the family, and then it was that I wanted to kind of help my mother out, and then I had this on my mind and trying to go to school. And so, I dropped out of school in order to get a job to help my mother,
Right.
And now that I think I've kind of, helped her catch up, then
We do have a number of different financial aid arrangements that we could get you involved in. We have our work-study program that offers a student to work on campus. We have the scholarships that are grouped with the work-study. We have our grants that's also grouped with work-study, and we have loans. We have the short-term loans, and we have the TOP and the educational opportunity grants, as I said, that goes with the work-study. Now, I imagine that you would possibly be more interested in the work-study and coupling that possibly with a grant. This would help with your tuition and books. The work-study pays $1.45 per hour, and you're able to work up to 60 hours a month. Now, that isn't a lot of money, but at least it would afford you enough for car fare, bus fare, or maybe might even buy you lunch every now and then. But this helps you to get to school, and then possibly you could maybe get a little part-time work that would enable you to purchase your clothing. But we're hoping that the work study part of the financial aid will be enough to enable you to come to school and be incentive enough, to get you in school and keep you in school. Do you think if we could do that much for you at El Centro, possibly you could, come to school and get your GED, and then after you've completed that, go further into training?
Right.
You can't ask this individual to look 15 or 20 years from now. I've got to produce. I've got to come through with a program. If I promise an individual financial aid, then I will have to give him financial aid, find it for him. If I tell him that I'm going to waiver or help waiver some of the entrance requirements, then it better be done. These people can't be waiting. They've waited too long. And when I come through, I better deliver the goods. The success, of course, of the individual is the best selling point that I can have. When I go back into the barrio and talk to, let us say, Juan Rodriguez and Maria Perez, they're listening to me, and this is fine. They shake their heads, yes, and so forth. But if I can point to an individual who made it through the culinary arts program or the mid-management program or through respiratory therapy, and they see him, this individual, they have known him as a high school dropout or as a push-out, and they see him now earning and adjusting to life much better, then that itself is going to be the selling point. There's nothing like success to bring across a program to sell it. I think this is a theory that we operate in advertising and in business, and I don't see why it can't be used in education.
In fact, the counselors can now present the people who come to them with examples of young men and women who were counseled in the past and are now attending El Centro. But success is really hard to measure in collective terms. There is only one unit for thousands of children, and even that one unit has not realized its full potential, as Mr. Zamorano readily admits. But a start has been made. The mobile unit is no longer an unfamiliar sight in West Dallas, East Dallas, and South Dallas, and becoming familiar is a big step toward being accepted by kids in these areas. Weekdays and weeknights, the mobile educational unit continues to roam the streets.